Twinkle, twinkle, will die.
Gabriel Gage, or Nova Online, is an intriguing character on the internet who's captivated, in the worst way, thousands of people at this point. Extremely similar to another well-documented individual people have drawn parallels to when describing Gabriel in the past, we've seen Nova, despite his protests against this being the case, march closer and closer to becoming this generation's very own Christian Weston Chandler.
This is dead serious.
Though to claim he's a carbon copy and leaving it at that would be an understatement, because while in many ways he fails to be quite as interesting, in other areas there's an incredible amount of depth to him in his degeneracy specifically. Now, if there's anything to take away from what we're about to get into, it's that Nova Online's mother, much like Chris Chan's mother, is living with a monster, and with days ticking by and Mrs. Gage growing weaker, the danger of living in that household is growing exponentially. Discord kittens and pink magic wands can only hold him over for so long. First, in order to understand where we're coming from with all this, we'll have to rewind the clock a little bit to the earlier life of Chris Chan, the grandfather of this lolcow genre of internet person. With Chris, when it came to meeting new people and making friends, specifically when it came to love interests actually of his back in the day, he was incredibly naive. It never seemed to take all that much convincing that he would have a chance with any troll portraying themselves as a possible lover. And once he quickly established that trust, he would be hooked. Something especially evident in the case of Blue Spike's trolling, playing the character of Julie and sometimes her evil brother Max, Chris would go to great lengths for who he thought was a girl. Because this idea of her giving some attention to him was so incredibly valuable, any red flags anyone else could have seen were thrown out the window. He'd go as far as driving from Virginia to Ohio in an attempt to save her at one point. There were so many other awful and degenerate things Blue Spike ended up making Chris do, under the guise of pleasing or saving the Julie sweetheart of Chris's. But the point is, he was incredibly desperate for attention from the opposite gender. Now, looking even further back to really highlight the desperate nature that has been building with Christian, accompanied with some built-up frustrations around not being able to find a partner, we can talk about the incident at his college where he created a sign describing his perfect girlfriend, and in essence just begging any passerby of the opposite gender to be his girlfriend or his sweetheart. Now, what I'm saying here is over the course of a few years, all this frustration surrounding the fact he was a virgin with rage, having to hire an sex worker at some point to fix the virgin part of that, causing this anger and frustration welling up that's been built so much pressure that created a ticking time bomb, you could say, that burst in the most degenerate way it possibly could have. And it's what he did back in 2021 that got him arrested. Now, if we turn back the clock to present day, you can start drawing some parallels between the two that are starting to get me a little worried. For Nova as well, it doesn't seem to take that much to get him to trust you. You really just need to speak positively about the guy for a little while and you're already in there like swimwear. This couldn't be even more the case when it comes to younger girls who portray themselves as these Nova supporters. Especially since Nova has proven time and time again that his demographic of prospective partner is very young. But anyone who knows Nova knows he's desperate for friendship at this point. However, on the love interest area, you could almost make the argument that he's more desperate than even Chris Chan was in his prime. Considering the younger girl named Alice, her debut as a persona on the internet of being a crazed, obsessed fan, supporter, and defender of Nova, even going as far as creating a shrine to him and smearing blood on it. Now, any sane individual would see the blatantly obvious red flags tattooed right on her forehead. Especially considering Nova had allegations already of talking to underage individuals at this point. But the desperate diaper degenerate that he is would get into contact with this girl, and they would apparently be in a relationship now with one another, all while even more allegations of course build up. And even now, Alice is apparently claiming to be 15 years old again, despite originally being 17, then pleading to be 18, who knows really. All I know is that this large individual who is incredibly desperate for female attention is becoming more and more desperate, clearly showing he's getting worse. It took a good couple days, maybe a week and a half, maybe even 2, for him to finally make contact with Alice. Originally, and then not too long ago, a new crazed fangirl pops up, and within an hour of her creating the account, Nova already followed her and got into contact with her. So this guy is not playing around anymore, and he's getting worse by the day, and I think that just makes my case even stronger that he's headed down this dark path, and when these trolls get tired of him, These girls grow up or, I don't know, get bullied off the internet and realize it's not worth their time anymore to mess with the PDF file. Where is Nova going to get all his female attention? Who is the most easily accessible person of the opposite gender that is getting more vulnerable and weaker by the day? Who's going to change this big baby's diaper? I believe that will be Gabriel Gage's own mother, just like Chris Chan getting arrested back in 2021, the awful thing he'd done to his vulnerable mother. I believe with all these signs that Gabriel is following in life, even just beyond the two of them being lolcows, that Nova's mom is in serious danger living with this guy. And I'm telling you guys, this goes beyond just a joke at Nova being a lolcow just like Chris. I think the warnings and the signs have been written on the blood wall this whole time. Now, I just said who's going to change this guy's diaper earlier, and that wasn't even a joke either. In my very first video, coming into this little corner of the internet, I covered some Quora posts that came out about the chome, in which way back when he was 17, he was asking the greater internet, how do I convince my mom at 17 that I need to be put back in diapers? Already so early on, Novo's trying to find a way to get his mom in on his weird diaper baby fetish thing. That was just the beginnings of the early warnings though, because when he did get exposed for making phone calls with a younger person a little while ago inappropriately, he did this weird mommy baby role play with them.
Do you have a binky? I think I've seen a video about it. And he was like, all these fucking trolls, they say I have binkies, blah, 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 I don't. And I was like, do you? And he was like, well, I do. And so he showed me his binky and he said that he says that I think it's personally annoying, but whatever. But he was saying that my voice was relaxing and that he could fall asleep to it. And then he sent me this thing of his favorite ASMRs, and some of them would be like, mommy gives you a hug, mommy gives you kisses, and he told me that he wanted me to make one for him because he was so much of a mom, I was so much of a mother or a mommy, I guess, which is weird.
So this guy already has it in his head, a fantasy that he enjoys this mom-baby dynamic. He likes pretending to be the baby, and he's going to fill that mom role when he has no one else to coddle him and make Discord servers, being in a Discord call with him in order to do this. This is why I think his mom is at risk of being victimized by the chome. Surely, despite Nova being very clearly messed up in the noggin, or how Christian might put it, slow in the mind, he's going to have some ability to separate this fantasy from his real life, right? Well, considering how easily and quickly he's able to harm underage individuals and scar them for life, he's already lacking in the morals department, so who's to say that he won't cross this fantasy to real life barrier? Especially if you guys consider that recent Nova Hub video that's made its rounds. The one where he's playing with half of a pair of pink nunchucks. Unfortunately, a grub did get flashed by that video on Twitter, and in the milliseconds between me realizing the horrors of what's in front of me and clicking away, I noticed something. And that was that his door was open in his bedroom. Nova, in case you guys have forgotten, lives with his mom in a double-wide trailer, and I'm not knocking anyone who lives in a place like this, especially with the housing market and whatnot, but not only is it a double-wide, but there's trash everywhere. There's only so many places you can walk in this already small house. God forbid Nova's mom happened to get up in the morning or in the middle of the night whenever this happened. Her legs are starting to hurt, her back is sore or something. She wants to walk around the house, doesn't want to go outside for whatever reason. Just needs to stretch her legs or maybe grab a glass of water before bed. Then walk by Nova's room. Here's some shit about, here come the contractions, and she's supposed to know that he's in the middle of pausing his South Park to record some X-rated content. Maybe those contractions are his muscles contracting and he's about to have some sort of seizure. Who knows? What if his mom went by, for whatever reason is what I'm saying, and wanted to investigate what was going on in there? Just like how a tarantula waits for its prey to wander into its den, he was waiting to get walked in on there. With all the evidence pointing in the direction of him being in this weird mommy-baby dynamic, he likes that fantasy, I think having the door open was part of the thrill of it. Either way, I think it's put on full display the type of degenerate Nova is and his descent into becoming just like Chris Chan. And I think it's only a matter of time before something terrible happens in that house. If I haven't already made my case about Gabriel Gage following the Christian Weston Chandler blueprint, the following only shows that their personalities are incredibly similar as well as their degeneracies. Historically, Christian would blame every little misfortune, everything wrong in his life on the trolls.
Wrong! You really blew it this time!
If you bring that around to today, that's still a large part of his character when it comes to denying specifically the awful things he put his disabled mother through. Chris just can't take accountability for his own actions in life, and that is just a defining part of Chris at this point. Specifically, where Nova Online seems to excel at being just like his predecessor is the way they both like to deny their predatory actions, publicly at least.
I've already proved my innocence. With the rumors of me being a pedophile, I already proved them wrong.
Because despite admitting to it originally with the whole dating his mother that he was talking about, Christian just denies that anything ever happened with Barb. Denies it wholeheartedly, that nothing occurred, simple as that, despite all the evidence against it. Yet again, like all the parallels we've already drawn to Gabriel, when he's put in a corner confronted about his allegations or all the allegations are brought up, it's as simple as that. It didn't happen, or it's all AI. That's all his defense ever amounts to. And other than that, he's put in a couple threats to the trolls, even put everyone on that kill list that he wrote recently. Super reminiscent of Chris Chan spazzing out about the trolls back in the day too. Just truly cementing this idea, at least for me, that he's printed out the blueprint for becoming Chris Chan, and he's following that roadmap as closely as possible. They say history repeats itself, and I think that's exactly what we're witnessing. Every moment of it documented, and it's headed towards the worst possible outcome, and I truly fear for Gabriel's mom in the coming years. But that's all I have to say regarding the chome today, fellas. If you liked what you saw here, don't forget to let me know your opinion in the comments, like and hype up the video to help a fella out, and maybe even subscribe if I was just that awesome today. Anyways, later, Grubbas.
Fuck my life, I'm gonna go fuck myself.
Shut that goddamn thing off!